Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the legal and practical realities of company seals in Vietnam. If you're a foreign investor, part of a brand new startup, or just looking to expand into the Vietnamese market, getting a grip on the local corporate environment is absolutely crucial. But look, today we aren't just talking about standard, boring paperwork. We're breaking down a surprisingly powerful tool that actually trips up a lot of foreign investors, and that is the company seal. We're going to look at current legal requirements, how these seals are managed, and the absolute best practices for internal control. That way, you can avoid unnecessary disputes and make sure your operations run like a well-oiled machine. So let's kick things off with a massive question. It's actually the very first thing almost every single new business owner asks us when they set up shop in Vietnam. Do you legally need a company seal? Now, that sounds like a straightforward yes or no question, right? Well, as you'll see, the reality on the ground is completely different. The real answer is this fascinating mix of legal theory and deeply ingrained business practice. All right, part one, the modern company seal. What exactly is it, and how has it changed? To make sure we're on the same page about what this means in today's landscape, let's quickly look at the definition. Traditionally, a company seal is just an official mark used by a business to authenticate documents. Think of it as the ultimate stamp of approval that says, yes, the company officially backs this. Depending on your internal rules, it might be used right alongside the signature of your legal representative. But here's where it gets really exciting for new businesses. Under the Law on Enterprises from 2020, companies now have a ton of autonomy in how these seals are created and managed. It's a massive shift away from the older, super restrictive eras of Vietnamese business law, moving toward a flexible framework that puts the power back in your hands. Which brings us to part two. Is it actually mandatory? Get ready for a plot twist. The answer to our big initial question is, drumroll please, not always. I know it's a huge legal plot twist that catches a lot of incoming investors totally off guard. Technically, under the current law on enterprises, you are no longer strictly forced to make or possess a physical seal just because you incorporated a business. You literally have the legal freedom to operate without one. But, and this is a massive but, there is a huge tug of war happening between the law on the books and the practical reality on the streets. Sure, the law gives you flexibility, but to actually survive and get things done in Vietnam, you are absolutely still going to need one. Why? Because pretty much everyone, banks, government agencies, local suppliers, business partners, they all still expect to see sealed documents for standard commercial transactions. It's a deeply ingrained habit, and you simply can't ignore it if you want your business to thrive here. Okay, part three, types of corporate seals. Let's look at physical, electronic, and digital signatures. Since we've established that you practically do need one, let's break down the different tools you're going to encounter. Imagine a document flowing through your company. If it's physical paper, you use the traditional rubber stamp. That's your physical company seal. But as your business digitizes, you might start using an electronic company seal. That's a seal integrated right into your document management software for digital workflows and quick automated approvals. And finally, you have the digital signature. This is a legally recognized electronic authentication tool used mainly for administrative stuff, like filing taxes online or doing customs declarations. It's super important to understand the distinct roles these three tools play. Now, I really need you to hear me loud and clear on this one. A digital signature is not a company seal. People mix these up all the time when they enter the market, and it causes so many headaches. A digital signature is basically your government-recognized online ID for administrative tasks. But a company seal, whether it's physical or electronic, that's your traditional corporate stamp used in everyday business-to-business transactions. So please, keep those two separated in your mind. Now, here's the fun part. The design freedom you have with a physical seal today is just incredible. You can design it pretty much however you want. Usually people put their company name and tax ID on there, but you can add a bilingual name, throw in your company logo, and get this. You have total freedom to choose the shape, size, and color. Seriously, if you wanted your official seal to be a neon pink triangle, technically you could do it. And the best part, unlike the old days, you don't even have to register the design with the business authorities anymore. You design it, you make it, and you use it. Boom, done. Moving right along to part four, practical usage and contracts. When do you actually bust this thing out? First up, and probably most importantly, banking. If you actually want to move money around, pay your staff, or get a commercial loan, your bank is going to demand a physically sealed document. Whether you're opening a new corporate account, updating your info, or changing who is authorized to sign things, Vietnamese banks rely heavily on that seal. To them, it's the ultimate proof that the instructions are legitimately coming from your company. But it doesn't stop at the bank. You're going to find yourself stamping a lot of major corporate and commercial paperwork too. Internally, this means things like board and shareholder resolutions, or anytime you mend your company's charter. Externally, applying that seal is how you build trust with your local partners. You're going to use it on major commercial contracts, service agreements, and distribution deals just to align with how business has always been done here.
Which naturally brings up a really interesting question. What if you forget? Is a company seal absolutely required to make a commercial contract legally valid in Vietnam? Does skipping the stamp make the whole deal void?
Actually, no. In most cases, if a contract is signed by a duly authorized representative, the right person, it's legally valid even without the company seal. But applying the seal to major contracts is still a huge best practice. Why? Because it demonstrates authenticity and massively cuts down on the risk of fraud. It proves to your business partner that some rogue employee isn't just signing deals behind the board's back. When both sides see that official stamp, it just gives everyone that extra layer of comfort and security. Let's wrap things up with Part 5, Smart Seal Governance. This is all about protecting your company's identity. Because this little stamp holds so much practical power, you have to decide who actually gets to hold the keys. The law lets each company decide this for themselves. Common custodians might be your legal rep, the general director, maybe an admin manager, the corporate secretary, or someone in finance. But listen, your internal company charter must explicitly define exactly which of these roles holds the seal, when they can use it, and what the formal approval procedures are. If you leave this vague, you are basically inviting total operational chaos. It's really easy to get sloppy with this stuff, but poor seal management is a massive compliance risk. You want to avoid these common pitfalls like the plague. Don't just leave the seal sitting out insecurely on someone's desk. And never, ever let an employee stamp a document without formal, documented approval from management. Limit access strictly to authorized personnel, and make sure your whole team understands that while minor, day-to-day stuff might not need a seal, high-stakes documents require absolute, total oversight. Now, what if the absolute worst happens and the seal actually goes missing? Management has to act fast because the clock is ticking. First, you investigate and document the loss. Second, instantly notify relevant stakeholders, like your banks and key partners, so they know to reject any documents that show up bearing the lost seal. Then, get a replacement, update your internal documents to reflect the new design, and crucially, figure out how it happened and strengthen your security procedures so it never, ever happens again. To prevent that whole nightmare scenario in the first place, just stick to these best practices. Establish a strict written policy on who can use it. You absolutely must keep a detailed seal usage log. Write down the date, the document title, who requested it, who approved it, and who actually applied the stamp. That audit trail is your ultimate safeguard. Keep the physical seal locked up in a safe, and as you grow, start baking digital workflows and access controls into your electronic systems. Ultimately, if you take away just one thing from this entire explainer, let it be this bizarre but true paradox. The company seal is not legally required for incorporation anymore, but it is practically essential for operation. The law gives you incredible flexibility, but the local market still demands compliance with traditional business practices. A well-managed seal builds authenticity and seriously strengthens your credibility with everyone you do business with. So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on with your team as you build out your strategy. Are your company's internal policies actually ready to securely manage both physical seals and digital signatures right now? Take a hard look at your charter today, because in Vietnam, your seal really is your identity. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep learning.